The story begins in the year 2092, where pollution on Earth has caused all trees and plants to wither. At this point, UTSL Corporation has plans to create a new Earth by growing artificial trees and plants on Mars, a compact habitat specifically built for the wealthy to reside outside of Earth. However, the waste generated by these projects, known as debris, floats in space like bullets, and to clear it, workers called space sweepers risk their lives. These poor sweepers survive by collecting this debris and selling it. One day, a large piece of debris crashes into a satellite, and soon after, a team of space sweepers sets out on their ships to intercept it. But suddenly, a ship called Victory blocks their way. On board this ship is a robot named Bubs, who throws a rope and connects it directly to the debris. Alongside Bubs, there are 3 other crew members, Tai-Ho, Gang, and Tiger, who make up the most formidable team among all the space sweepers. They quickly secure the debris and, dodging others, take it to a factory where all the waste is broken down and recycled into various items. Tai-Ho, it turns out, is desperately searching for his lost daughter and has been doing everything possible to find her. He even gives his last few grains of rice to a government official to check the morgue for any new bodies, though once again, the corpse was not his daughter's. Tai-Ho sells whatever machinery he collects but earns very little money, leaving the team running at a loss. Frustrated, Tai-Ho argues with a clerk, who pulls a knife to silence him. At that moment, they see news on TV about a missing android named Dorothy, stolen by an anti-UTSL group called the Black Foxes. This android looks quite innocent, but it has highly dangerous weapons hidden inside, so people are urged to report any sightings to the police immediately. Tai-Ho pays little attention and walks away. That evening, the Victory crew grows increasingly anxious about their debt, leading to arguments fueled by frustration. Bubs secretly hides her saved-up money in a box. She's the only one consistently saving, as she hopes to get synthetic skin to appear more human. Later, the crew examines the day's debris and discovers it's a damaged ship from an area filled with nanobots, machines capable of chewing through metals like iron. Suddenly, the ship's lights flicker on, and as they open its cargo box, several airbags spill out. Hidden among them, they find Dorothy, which leaves them stunned. They bring her back to the Victory ship, where Tai-Ho is reminded of his daughter when he looks at Dorothy. Just then, news of Dorothy's disappearance flashes on the TV again, and the entire crew realizes that Dorothy is actually a weapon. When Dorothy opens her mouth, everyone panics and runs, only to realize she's simply sneezing. They all retreat to their rooms, trying to figure out their next move. Tai-Ho later attempts to tie Dorothy up, but as she approaches him, he hides behind a metal object, frightened. He notices a bag belonging to Dorothy, grabs it, and returns to his room. Inside the bag, he finds a phone with several missed calls from a man named Dr. Kong, as well as some contacts linked to UTSL. The crew decides to go to a deserted area, but they abandon Dorothy alone on the ship and flee. Turns out Dorothy has a unique ability. She can revive dead plants. Meanwhile, the other crew members gather at a bar, pondering their next move. Tiger tries to report Dorothy to the police, but there's no response. Tai-Ho suggests that if they turn Dorothy over to the Black Foxes, they could earn a large sum of money. He uses a machine to disguise his voice, calls Dr. Kong, sends him a video of Dorothy, and demands $2 million for her return. Kong agrees to pay the ransom immediately, and they arrange to meet that very day. As they prepare to leave, the ship's alarm sounds, signaling an approaching police presence. They quickly change into normal clothes, hide Dorothy, and pretend to go about their usual work. A policeman arrives, mentioning a call from their ship, and Tiger gestures towards a door. The officer, gun in hand, enters but fails to notice Dorothy, who moves stealthily to evade him. Tai-Ho attempts to bribe the officer with Bubs' saved money, which the officer refuses, but Bubs records everything as evidence, threatening to report him. The officer leaves, and Tai-Ho and Tiger change disguises before heading to a club to meet Dr. Kong. Tiger keeps Dorothy safely in a bag as Tai-Ho proceeds to meet Kong. Meanwhile, guards aim their guns from a nearby balcony. Kong hands over a bag of money, but when Tai-Ho and Tiger check it, they realize Dorothy is missing. She's made her way to the dance floor, where people are staring at her. Suddenly, everyone's devices receive an alert about Dorothy, prompting panic. Guards open fire, but Tai-ho risks his life to protect Dorothy. Chaos ensues as people push forward, trying to get closer to Dorothy, but are held back. Kong attempts to reach her, but the crowd blocks his way. Tai-ho and Tiger are searching for Kong when a guard shoots at them, but Dorothy uses her powers to create a protective shield around them, deflecting the bullets. The guards continue firing, thinking they've killed everyone, but Tai-ho, Tiger, and Dorothy manage to escape back to the victory ship. Since their ship requires repairs, they're forced to stay at the factory. When they return, Jiang angrily scolds them for failing to return Dorothy and destroys her phone. Suspecting the guards tracked them through it. However, he had already saved Kang's number. Meanwhile, Sullivan, along with his team of scientists, discusses nanobots while working on a project to create trees and oceans on Mars. When someone hands him Dorothy's goggles, he grows furious, declaring that their project will succeed only if humanity loses hope of survival on Earth. Suddenly, his veins turn black, and he collapses in pain. Sometime later, Dorothy asks Tai-ho for scissors and begins picking fresh tomatoes from a plant, bringing Tai-ho immense joy. He decides to take Dorothy and the tomatoes to the other sweepers to sell them. Just as they arrive at the bank to collect money, the ship's phone rings, and Tai-ho rushes to answer it but is stopped by agents. After struggling with them, he finally reaches the phone and negotiates another meeting with Kong. However, during this exchange, the agents seize their ship as collateral for unpaid debts. Tiger says he doesn't want to sell Dorothy, fearing what might happen to her. But Tai-ho, needing money to find his daughter and reclaim their ship, disagrees. Dorothy then goes to the bathroom, and a man follows her. Hearing her scream, the crew realizes someone has kidnapped her. They immediately start searching, and Tiger recalls some tunnels. He finds the kidnapper carrying Dorothy, pursues him, but the kidnapper escapes. Tai-ho intervenes, wresting Dorothy from the kidnapper, who pulls a knife. Tai-ho, a skilled fighter, disarms him in seconds. Soon after, more masked goons arrive, but Tiger takes them down one by one. Jiang arrives and unmasks the kidnapper's leader, who turns out to be a clerk that often buys debris from them. As they interrogate the captors, Dorothy heads to the bathroom. Jiang observes that robots don't use bathrooms, hinting that Dorothy might be human. Bubs uses a special light to reveal tattoos on the captors, proving them to be members of the Black Foxes. The Black Foxes explain that they're not terrorists but environmental activists. Dorothy was born with a terminal illness, and her father saved her by embedding nanobots in her body, which cured her and granted her the ability to grow plants. This means Dorothy possesses the power to restore Earth, making Sullivan's Mars project unnecessary. When Sullivan learned about this, he sent his guards to kill Dorothy. The guards destroyed the lab and killed the scientists but failed to kill Dorothy because there's only one way to destroy a nanobot, with a hydrogen bomb. Such a bomb could only be found in the gravity system of the factory, so the soldiers planned to detonate it there, causing the factory to crash into Earth and annihilate it in a nuclear explosion. In reality, Sullivan didn't want to save humanity but rather erase it from existence. Suddenly, the team heard gunfire, signaling that the guards had arrived. The Black Fox's team escaped through a back door, while Jiang and Tiger pretended to be regular workers and exited from the front. Meanwhile, Tai-ho escaped through the vents with Dorothy, but she suddenly sneezed, alerting the soldiers, who opened fire, forcing them to move quickly. Jiang activated the victory ship to distract the guards, while Tai-ho and Dorothy ran to a bridge and managed to board the victory ship. With everyone on board, Tai-ho took off at full speed, but missiles began targeting them from all sides. Suddenly, a missile exploded near their spaceship, causing it to plummet toward the debris field. Soon, the victory ship began to malfunction, and in moments, an army of nanobots attacked the victory. Just in time, Dorothy used her powers to push all the nanobots away, but this immense exertion caused her to faint. Tiger noticed her heart had stopped, so he quickly performed CPR. Dorothy suddenly released a breath and sat up as if nothing had happened. They escaped the debris field, only to see a news report declaring them terrorists and accusing them of being members of the Black Foxes. The government blamed them for everything that had happened at the club and the factory. Soon after, the Victory crew received a message from the Black Foxes, and they decided to meet outside the colony. When they finally met, Dorothy ran and hugged Kong, but Jiang noticed something strange around the area, a field of EMP signals. Bubs was also disabled at that moment. At the same time, soldiers stormed into the Victory ship and began shooting at the Black Foxes. They captured Dorothy while Jiang and the crew tried to save her, but the soldiers overpowered them. Jiang, Tiger, and Tai-Ho were arrested, and Kong and the remaining Black Foxes were killed. Soon after, Sullivan arrived and forcibly extracted a microchemical bomb from Jiang's mouth to remove her option of sacrifice. Despite the trio being his enemies, Sullivan didn't kill them. Instead, he threw a pile of money in front of them, mockingly telling Tai-Ho that he could use it to find his lost daughter. Sullivan ordered his men to lock Dorothy in the factory, intending to crash it directly into Earth. He then declared that life was now possible on Mars, as the atmosphere was safe for humans to inhabit. Meanwhile, on the Victory ship, Tai-Ho was collecting his share of the money, but the others refused to touch the blood money. They were determined to save Dorothy at any cost. Tai-Ho warned that they might not survive, but the crew didn't care. When Dorothy was bound to a hydrogen bomb, Tai-Ho visited the search company and paid them to continue looking for his daughter. While waiting, he went through some of his daughter's belongings, which were filled with words of love for him. Back then, he had been a drunk, neglecting his daughter. Reading her letters made him realize his mistake. Filled with remorse, he rushed back to the Victory ship, ready to help save Dorothy. Tai-Ho now piloted the ship as fast as possible, while Jiang pulled out her old gun and started firing at approaching soldiers. When she struggled, Bubs joined to help. But now a dangerous missile was approaching them, so Tai-Ho accelerated the ship, almost crashing into Earth, only to pull up at the last second. The missiles chasing them were unable to keep up and got caught in Earth's gravity. Despite some ships still pursuing them, they managed to enter the factory in time. They quickly entered the gravity chamber and rescued Dorothy. Jiang checked the bomb's programming and realized the detonator was inside it. Attempting to hack it would cause it to explode, so they had to move Dorothy at least 5,000 kilometers away from the bomb to protect her nanobots from the shockwaves. Just then, a soldier appeared and knocked out Tai-Ho and Jiang. Tiger told Dorothy to run back to the ship while Bubs tried to fight the soldier but was defeated. Tiger pushed the soldier into a corridor, locking the door behind him. Despite his strength, Tiger couldn't overpower the soldier, so he opened the hatch, and both were sucked out due to pressure change. The soldier was powerful, but Tiger managed to outwit him. They prepared to escape, but attack drones appeared. Jiang contacted other sweepers, explained Sullivan's plans, and asked for help. Jiang maneuvered the ship out of the factory as quickly as possible, shooting down drones on the way. When they emerged, they saw that all the factory workers and other sweepers were waiting in their ships. Working together, the sweepers shot down drones one by one with impressive aim, allowing Jiang and her crew to fly away with Dorothy safely. Meanwhile, a recording of Sullivan's confessions was sent to news channels, revealing his true intentions to humanity. Enraged, Sullivan boarded his ship, found the Victory, and started firing. Jiang fired back while Tai-Ho flew the ship at full speed. Suddenly, heavy objects fell on Jiang, trapping her, while Sullivan attacked the Victory with a mechanical arm, causing Jiang to float away. Sullivan boarded the Victory, and Bubs tried to stop him but was cut in half. Injured, Jiang managed to grab onto the ship and reached the booster system, activating it at the right moment. This caused the ship to speed up, knocking Sullivan off, but the booster failed after a short time, allowing Sullivan to reach the Victory again. Using his mechanical arm, he tore open the ship only to find a bomb inside. They had taken the bomb with them when they left the factory and had left Dorothy with other sweepers before taking off. They had tricked Sullivan to save Dorothy, even if it meant sacrificing themselves. Other sweepers watched with tears as the bomb exploded, seemingly killing the crew. Suddenly, Dorothy used her powers to control the nanobots. The nanobots protected the largest piece of the Victory ship, allowing it to survive the explosion. The entire crew remained alive inside. In the end, they all lived happily as a family with Dorothy, and Earth began to flourish again. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel.